the majority of people don't realize that meat actually comes from an animal. That meat has got 4 legs, or 2 paws, or a fin. They choose to disregard this. They blank it off. It troubles their conscience. Meat is meat. We are carnivores. I'm lucky in a way that I connect with meat. I work with meat. I love animals. I have animals at home. I'm a deer stalker. I go out and I spend hours looking at deer. I love them. Yet, when it's time, I shoot them.
Mauro Brigoli came to England in the 70s and opened a restaurant in Hampshire. He's now one of the best-known sportsmen in the New Forest, a canny fly fisherman and a crack shot. He pursues his sport with conviction, but also with an eye on the end use of his quarry. For Mauro, the rod and the gun lead inevitably to the kitchen and the cooking pot. An amateur wild foodie like me could learn a lot from Mauro's continental philosophy, so I've come to Hampshire to track him down. The middle of a pig farm isn't the obvious place to meet with an ace hunter, especially as there's no shortage of deer forests and pheasant coverts in these parts.
But this is no ordinary pig farm, and Genghis here is no ordinary pig. Genetically speaking, he's a fully fledged wild boar, and he also has a rendezvous with Mauro today. For Genghis, I'm sorry to say, is due for retirement.
Genghis has enjoyed a long and successful career as a breeding boar at Sam O'Neill's Hampshire pig farm. 8 years ago, Sam began crossing wild boars with domestic pigs to produce a very special kind of pork. Since the beginning, Mauro has been one of his most enthusiastic customers.
What about the flavour with these?
Superb.
Yeah.
It's like pork used to be 100 years ago.
And how have you achieved that, Sam?
They're horses for courses. That animal wants to be outdoors. Now, the modern pig, for 30 years, we bred it to be the same as the indoor pig.
Right.
Now we've achieved that, and of course it can't live outdoors. These animals have a coat, a thick skin, which is why the cracklings are good, and also extra fat. That's where the taste is. Now, those 3 things are their clothes. As you can see, it looks like an animal who wants to live outdoors.
So they're tough old buggers, are they?
Very. Yes, they can survive anything out here.
Well, unfortunately, the same probably can't be said for their father, with whom we have an appointment.
Right, we'll go and see him now.
So would you say Genghis has served you well, Sam?
Well, he served the sows very well anyway, yes.
Yeah, that's probably a better way of putting it. But how do you reach a decision about retiring one of your stud boars?
Well, on this occasion, I mean, he's 8 years old. It's just a matter of now of improving the stock, and the best way of doing that is by changing the boar.
Will you be sad to see Genghis go?
Oh yes, of course I will. I mean, he's been here 8 years. He was one of the second pair of boars ever to arrive here. I'm afraid you just got to get the job done on these occasions. It's his welfare that's the most important factor. Right. Come on, old chap. Come on, Genghis. There's a good lad. Come on. Here. There we are. Yeah. Come on, old chap. There's a good old chap. Come on.
What we're going to do today is not sport. It's not out shooting. We're not going hunting wild boar or anything. Really, we're going to do a favor to a friend of mine.
There we are, old fella.
We're going to cull this beast, and we're going to use it. Use it the way it used to be done in the old times.
Wild boars like Genghis are classed as dangerous animals and cannot be taken for slaughter to an abattoir. Shooting is considered the humane option. The resulting meat cannot legally be sold unless inspected on site by a vet, but Mauro is quite entitled to use it for personal consumption. The 250-kilo carcass is now to be gutted, skinned, and left to hang for a week. Then Mauro will begin the time-honoured process of converting this valuable meat into a whole range of Epicurean delights, food that will last for almost a year. He invited me along to learn a few tricks from the old country. I'd been promised a hard day's graft, so I arrived at Mauro's Romsey restaurant at the crack of dawn a week later.
I must say, you've done a bit of work since I was last here.
I think we lost between the skin and the edge. We lost half of the weight of the pig, at least half the weight. I mean, the head was 72 pounds. Put the knife down until you find the bone, follow it up, and follow the other bone up, and then you can start folding the meat off the bone. That's the simplest way of boning something.
It was all hands to the pump as Mauro, his son, 2 sous chefs and myself went to work on the carcass. The meat was minced and divided into 10-kilo batches. Then Mauro set about his 500-year-old recipe for salami.
Now, salt is the key thing. It's got to be very exact. We use 28 grams for 10 kilos of meat. That's very important. Pepper, I only put a couple of handfuls. Wine. I'll be putting about 2 bottles of wine in this meat. Bit of garlic. Not too much. The garlic, it will come out in the meat very strong. And now we'll turn it over and form it into like a big sausage.
Pronto per tutto, la notte e il giorno, sempre d'intorno, in giro sta. Miglior cuccagna per un barbiere, vita più nobile non si dà. La 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 la.
Then Mauro showed me the trick he'd learned as a boy for tying up the natural intestines that would become the skins of our salamis.
The Romans used to use them for different things.
That's right, yeah. These were the world's first contraceptives, weren't they?
Yeah.
It had to be a good knot.
Definitely. For Romans, big knot too. That's what gave you problems.
Tutti mi chiedono, tutti mi vogliono, donne e ragazzi, vecchie fanciulle, quella parrucca, presto la barba, quella sanguigna, presto il biglietto, tutti mi chiedono, tutti mi vogliono, tutti mi chiedono, tutti mi vogliono, quella parrucca, presto la barba, presto il biglietto, ehi, Figaro, 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 Figaro. Ahimè, ahimè, è furia, ahimè, è folla, uno alla volta, per carità, per carità.
As the day passed, we toiled on, resurrecting the boar's body in the form of all manner of traditional charcuterie.
Per carità. Figaro, son qua. Ehi, Figaro.
Salamis for hanging
Figaro qua, Figaro là, Figaro qua, Figaro là.
and bellies for smoking,
Giù, Figaro su, Figaro giù, pronto, prontissimo.
sausages for frying
Della città, della città,
and sausages for drying.
della città. Ah, bravo Figaro, bravo.
Some of it will hang in Mauro's garage. Other items go up the chimney for a few weeks smoking.
De fortuna non mancherò. Sono il factotum della città.
And when all the work was over, we sat down to sample some of last year's vintage, made in all probability from one of Genghis's numerous offspring.
Well, I think that the more you understand about meat, more pleasure you get out of it. And in a way, I'm very lucky that killing it myself and butchering it and curing the meat.
That's the greatest pleasure of all.
It is. And having some good friends to share it with.
Thank you, Mauro. Well, I'll toast you with ham. Cheers.
Cheers to Genghis.
Genghis.